everybody, it's Erin. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing my very first video tag. So I was tagged to do the reading habit video by Laura's library card. It is my first ever tag, so thank you so much to her because I'm so excited to actually get to do one of these videos. Alright, I got the questions here. The first question. You have 20,000 books on your TBR. How in the world do you decide what to read next? Between my physical TBR and all the book recommendations I get off BookTube, I do have quite a few books on my TBR. I mean, close to probably 600 between all the lists that I have. Right now, my goal is to get through my physical TBR first, and so that I have my TBR game where I draw based on genre because I want to make sure I'm not just reading the ones I'm most excited about, but also getting to some of the classics that I want to get through but may not be at the top of my list, or some nonfiction because I tend to lean towards fantasy. So I've been trying to spread out the genre and get through books that way. Question 2. You're halfway through a book and you're just not loving it. Do you quit or commit? I definitely commit. I have not DNF'd a book. I don't know if it's like I feel guilty doing it or what, but I just always push myself to get through it. I want to give the book the benefit of the doubt, and I also want to be able to really tell people why I didn't like the book, and to do that, I feel like you have to kind of get through it. Sometimes I'll see a review that says I DNF'd after like 20 pages, which is okay, but I feel like you can't really give a good review after 20 pages of a book. So if I'm going to give a review especially or tell someone about it, I want to make sure that I've read the whole thing. Question 3. The end of the year is coming and you're so close, but so far away from your Goodreads reading challenge. Do you try and catch up, and how? So I set my reading challenge at about 30 books each year, which is definitely manageable for me. Last year I read 33 or 35 books, but this year I'm already to 50 just because things are so different and I have a lot more time on my hands. So I think if I was close, I would either start focusing on a genre that I know I loved, like fantasy, and I could kind of breeze through books I'm really excited about to help me get through it, or I would read some of the kids' books on my list as if I was really running out of time. The covers of a series you love don't match. How do you cope? I tend to read series pretty slowly. I don't read them back to back to back because I get burnt out. And so a lot of times by the time I'm ready to pick up the next book in a series, the covers have changed or there's several different editions out, and I tend to buy whatever I can find first, not necessarily worry about matching. So to be honest, most of my series don't match and I'm totally okay with it. I think what bothers me more is if I have to mix hardback and paperback. I don't like doing that, but I have done it. I think for me, it's more about having a complete set than having the aesthetics. Question 5. Everyone and their mother loves a book you really don't like. Who do you bond with over your shared feelings? I think over the last several years, I've done a good job of making different book groups for myself. My sister tends to love the same books that I do, and so we talk about a lot of different books. And my brother has kind of an opposite taste. He prefers nonfiction and historical text, and so either way, I have an ability to have a good conversation about a book. I also have a really good book group with my friends, and I've joined a lot of Discord groups over BookTube and found a lot of cool people. So I'm sure I could find somebody who shared feelings with me. Question 6. You're reading a book and you're about to start crying in public. How do you deal? I don't tend to cry with books. The most I'll probably ever do is like tear up. I'm just not a crier, even with movies. I don't really cry. I don't know what that is about, but I do remember reading My Sister's Keeper, and kind of just with what I was going through at that time in my life, that one made me cry. And I was a camp counselor at the time, and so I was reading while they were taking a nap, and they all woke up, and I was like sobbing. And I think I just was honest and said, yeah, I'm reading a really sad book. So I think I just explained the situation if need be. Question 7. A sequel of a book you love just came out, but you've forgotten a lot of the prior novel. Will you reread the book, skip the sequel? Skip the sequel? Why on earth would you skip the sequel? Try to find a synopsis on Goodreads or cry in frustration. So I do read my series pretty far apart, and there have been times where I've forgotten what was going on, but usually I just go into the next book and hope that it'll come to me, and if I have any questions, I look it up. I would definitely just look things up if I had questions. The only time I really reread is if I have a complete series. I don't reread before reading the next book, but I will sometimes go back and reread a full series. The next question, you do not want anyone borrowing your books. How do you politely tell people no when they ask? I, with borrowing books, usually give people one chance. And if my book comes back like damaged or bent ears or stains, I kind of just keep a mental list of like, okay, don't lend this person another book. However, I've never had to tell anybody no. I don't think any of the people that I would say no to have asked. So I don't know what I do. Knowing myself, I'd probably like ho-hum around it, just be like, oh, I don't know. I think that book is missing, or maybe at school. I don't know. I'd probably make up some reason and encourage them to get their own copy. Reading ADD. You've picked up and put down 5 books in the last month. How do you get over your reading slump? I don't really get into a point where I put down books, but my reading will slow down if I'm not enjoying a book. So usually I try and give myself an incentive. So right now on my reading list, I have a few nonfictions, and then the last one that I'm going to read, hopefully this month, is Scythe, which I'm really excited about. I give myself an incentive to get through the ones I'm not as excited about. If I'm really struggling to get through a book, I'll go back and reread some sections from a book I love, just to give me kind of that good feeling from reading if I feel like I'm missing from the books I do have. Then there are so many new books coming out that you're dying to read. How many do you actually buy? Ooh. I've been trying to do better at not buying the books right away because I have so many that I've bought that I haven't read yet. Because I'll buy a whole bunch of them and then read 1 or 2 before I buy the next new set. And so there are always 3 or 4 that I don't get to right away. So before I buy a ton of new books, I'm trying to get through my older books. That being said, if I'm excited about a book, I buy it. I don't get it from the library, I just straight up buy it. So if I want a book, I will buy it 100% of the time. It's just more of when do I buy it. And our last question, after you've bought the new books you can't wait to get to, how long do they sit on your shelf before you get to them? Before I started really trying to get through my physical TBR, it would have been probably right away, and I just keep skipping over the ones that are on my shelf. Now, it may be a while because I am telling myself that I have to get through the books on my shelf before I get to the new ones, unless I have like a reader's choice pick come up or a friend recommendation come up in my TBR drawing. So probably a while before I get to some of the ones that I just bought. All right, I think that was the last question. Thank you so much to Laura's library card for tagging me. This was really fun, and I love seeing everybody's different responses to these questions because they're things that we all enjoy reading, but to think that there are so many different ways that we enjoy it and go about it is just very interesting to me. So I am going to tag Afternoon Literature, and Donnie Reads, and Lake and Story Nook. So I'll put their links down below along with Laura's library card because you should check out all their channels. If you haven't done the tag and you want to, definitely do it. It's fun to really think about your reading habits because some of these were things I hadn't considered about myself. I would love to know how your answers compare to mine. I hope you all have a great week and enjoy your summer. Bye.